This is the first time I've watched it in like maybe 2 decades.
Yeah.
Like there's not many reasons to revisit this movie. It's effective once or twice, and that's about it.
It's one that I revisit though.
You just put it on the background?
Yeah, sometimes.
This time watching it, I paid a lot more attention to just like the 3 characters and their choices, and I almost liked it more.
Okay.
Farts.
What's up to our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the mother-loving geek nation? Welcome to the Standing in the Corner Waiting for the Next Sacrifice Selection CultPop Podcast, episode 99.
I wish I started this standing in the corner.
Wait, start it over.
Do it again.
We got from the top, from the top.
You're not seeing this.
From the top.
And
3,
action.
2, what's up to our sidekicks and henchfolk out there?
Wait. You got to be like 5, 4, 3.
What's up to our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the mother-loving geek nation? Welcome to the Standing in the Corner Waiting for the Next Sacrifice Selection CultPop Podcast, episode 99. Josh! Tell me where you are, Josh! One of the longest running comic book and pop culture podcasts where we talk... You can...
No.
It's just the whole time.
You have to stay there until the witch
where
selects
we talk about movies, TV, comics, footage found at the base of Coffin Rock, and all the other things that scratch that sweet nerdy itch. We're coming to you live from YUNKJunk HQ, a bomb-ass podcast production space here in Manayunk, PA.
Do I have to scream it like Heather? Or
Next slide, please.
You know what you're doing.
I'm your host, JD of JD's Hero Complex, located at 4327
You forgot your name.
Main Street, Philadelphia, PA. What is that? Oh, it's a comic shop. It's a rad-ass comic shop that caters to rad-ass folks like you. So get on into my shop and buy my stuff. With me tonight to talk is Alice.
the Blair Witch. Hi.
And Noel.
Hi.
Also in the booth is our trusty producer, Dylan.
Ooh.
Golf clap. Dylan.
Yeah.
If anyone out there in YouTube land is watching and wanting to know how to get all up in this YUNKJunk HQ, how can they inquire about that?
All you got to do is go to the nearest corner and face it. Spin around 3 times.
And then all the footage of this podcast and all subsequent podcasts will be found underneath the foundation of Ellie's house.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really
No, it's
easy.
going to be found in the haunted house below us.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be found at Lincoln
Oh, that's
Mill.
true. For anyone who doesn't know, we're in the
doxing
same
ourselves?
building as the what's it called?
Lincoln Mill Haunted
Lincoln
House.
Mill Haunted House. Yeah. Hey, just so you guys know, tonight we're going to deep dive into the grandmother of what we now know today as the found footage horror genre, the Blair Witch Project. Not just the original, but also both sequels, because it's its 25th anniversary this year. This month or this
Aw,
year?
happy birthday.
This year, it was a couple months ago.
Yeah.
May?
Aw, happy
July.
belated
Come on,
birthday.
July 30th.
But before we do, a gentle reminder, if you're here live, feel free to comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, do all that nasty fun stuff so that you know when we're going live. Also, we love a little back and forth, so pipe up in the chat or email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com, just like this one that's upcoming, because we got letters.
We got a letter?
Oh, we got lots and lots and lots and lots of letters.
that form a sentence and
Am I reading
paragraphs
this
in this one letter.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like
You're
I'm
up.
getting ready to present at school.
No pressure.
Seriously, what's the live show called? Is it just CultPop?
Oh, so to answer that question, what's it called?
I think we're just going to go with CultPop Podcast.
The CultPop Podcast.
Yes.
Official CultPop Podcast.
Subsequently, the CultPop Podcast, this podcast you're listening to right now, is the same name as the CultPop Network, which other podcasts are also on.
Yeah, like Fresh Floppies, the book where the book.
The comic book podcast.
Yeah.
Surprised you went with the Blair Witch movies, of which I have seen none of them, instead of Smile 2, which is really good.
I've heard that.
I've heard that too.
Everyone's saying that Smile 2 is awesome.
Yeah. Lady Raven wishes she was as awesome as Sky Riley.
Who's
Lady
Lady
Raven
Raven?
is from Trap.
Oh. Hey, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't know that?
Come
No,
on.
you
Our
don't?
favorite.
I flushed that movie out of my
It's
brain.
my 4th favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie of the 6 that I've seen, everyone.
Bravo.
The movie itself is about the same level of the original Smile. No kitties die in this one, so it's safe for animal lovers.
Oh,
Thank you
there's
for
a
the
cat-
warning,
A
honestly.
cat dies and smile?
Yeah.
I forgot.
Good
You
to know.
don't see it, but you see the dead.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Spoiler
if you're
alert,
going to do it, show it.
Yeah. The reveal of it is pretty gnarly, though.
Oh.
And the musical performances are so much better than Trap.
Low
Peace.
bar.
There's musical performances in Smile. Oh, that's
Yeah, the
right,
whole
because
point
it's
is
about
she's
a...
She's a pop
star.
star.
I just remembered the trailer. Go ahead.
Yep. Seeing Venom 3 Thursday, My Monster Friday, and Conclave Saturday. See you live at 8, and until then, play Misty for me.
Chris, Saint Saucy, good night. I miss the days when the weekend's coming up. I'm going to go to 3 different shows.
Yeah.
I'm actually, my wife has plans tomorrow night, so I'm going to immediately leave work and go see Venom, I think.
Venom?
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, all that's playing at our small theater within walking distance is Venom, Smile at a different time. That's not convenient for me, and 4 other movies I've seen.
Okay, fair enough.
So
fair enough.
I'm gonna go see Venom.
In the chat, Costa says the Blair Witch Project is old enough to rent a car.
Yep. It's old enough to get a hotel room itself.
Pink Apocalypse says, I was underwhelmed by the original. This review is going to influence whether I bother with the sequels.
Pink, I think the original holds up much better than even first viewing.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Pink, when you saw the original Blair Witch Project, did you see it after everything was spoiled and we all knew it was fake? Or did you see it like opening weekend? Because I'm going to, listen.
I'd argue that doesn't matter. It's still a strong
I still love
movie.
it, and
Yeah.
I knew it was fake when I saw it because I didn't see it until.
Because I was one of the idiots who was like, is this really
I
real?
wish I could have had that experience of like debating whether or not it was real.
Well, we can totally get into this.
Yeah.
There's other stuff in there about doing it live. I appreciate that meme. Thank you very much.
Doing it live.
Yeah.
Great meme.
And the sequels were overwhelmingly bad.
I disagree with Costa
Yes,
on
Costa.
one of the sequels. We'll talk about it later.
Don't break up over it. It's not worth it. It's just a terrible
All right, did you
franchise.
see this beautiful ring he got me? I'm not getting rid of that.
It's just the flicks. All right.
So we're gonna forego the what's poppin' this week segment of the show. We're gonna dive directly into our main reviews, being
3 of them.
all of the Blair's Witch. We're gonna start with it wasn't spoiled.
Okay.
Oh, so you went in, you thought maybe it was real, and you were still like, this sucks.
Did you see it in theaters or she jumped in and said she wasn't spoiled?
Oh,
but
sorry.
did you see it in theaters or did you see it 5 years ago? Like, give us some more context.
Yeah.
Not
I
saying that
didn't
you
see it in
have to
theaters
have
and I
the
still love it.
experience that I had or he had or whatnot. Just with a movie like this, I think context really matters.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of a movie like this, The Blair Witch Project debuted on July 30th in 1999. It was written and directed by Eduardo Sanchez and David Myrick. It was starring Ray Hance, R-E-I, Hance, Joshua Leonard, and Michael Williams. Ray Hance being Heather Donahue. She has since changed her name and is now a pot farmer.
Yeah, she's a pot farmer.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah.
The internet tells me that it's a
She's also a graduate of Upper Darby High School.
Ah,
Oh,
yeah.
shut up, really?
Yeah, she's a local.
who else? Somebody else was a local.
Am I Shyamalan?
Yeah.
Tina Fey.
Tina Fey. I was saying
that's
Tina
what
Fey.
Mean Girls is about. Upper Darby,
yeah, exactly.
Is that really?
Mm-hmm.
So
Did not know
if
that.
you want to do the Tina Fey tour, you just drive to Delco.
Damn.
82 sandwich shops and a bunch of weird bars. It's great in the middle of a giant.
Sounds fantastic.
So I think that we should go around the table of our first experiences and then talk about the revisit to it.
Great.
Yeah. So
The internet tells me it's found video footage tells the tale of 3 film students who've traveled to a small town to collect documentary footage about the Blair Witch, a legendary local murderer. And I don't know how to say your name. Genghis Khan, I guess.
Gingis.
Gingis Khan. Wasn't it kind of like one of those found footage type movies?
the first
In
found
fact,
footage type
it
movie.
was the birth of the found
Yeah,
footage film.
that's what they're saying. Wasn't
Sort
it the
of.
first?
I think there was
It's
like
the big one.
I think there's it's in modern cinema. Yeah. There's other examples of it, like snuff style stuff from years and years ago in the 70s, but this is probably the most popular in theaters kind of version of it. Yeah.
Mhm.
She has to answer your question, Pink. During the premiere, just a few people, I was put off instead of intrigued by the found footage. I've disdained the format ever since.
Interesting.
I don't really blame you.
I love found footage. We've talked about it before.
You know, sometimes it's done well, sometimes I can't stand it. Anywho, you wanted to go around. You start.
No. Okay. I didn't really want to start, but
All right, then
all
I'll start.
No.
I was...
Go ahead.
Okay. So
It's just fine.
I was... I thought I heard about it. There was a website you could go. I forget what the website was called. Was it just BlairWitch.com? Sure.
I think so.
There was a website back on the old internet. I think you had to like dial up at the time. And I was researching it and looking into it because I was like, this sounds crazy. And there is a whole website dedicated to it where it had interviews with locals and police and all that other stuff, and like had little bios of the missing kids.
How old were you in July of 1999?
I was born in 78.
I want to gauge gullibility because same for me, but go ahead.
78.
All right, I'll do the math.
How old is that? And so, I remember
You're 21.
I was 21.
You're 21.
Very gullible. My brain is not yet formed at the time or now. I went to go see it at the Ritz in Philly, and it was a very small crowd. It wasn't spoiled yet, and I left that theater being like, that can't be real. Is it? Is that real? Is that a real thing? And I was kind of terrified. I thought it was a very evocative film, and it was unlike anything I'd ever seen in the fact that it felt very real. It was boring at times because it felt so real. It felt like a real documentary of just these kids lost in the woods, but I also liked their interactions and everything. I found the kids to be kind of charming, but also annoying. And I just, it wasn't until later that I had it spoiled, and he brought it up. Dylan brought it up on the screen.
I had to go on archive.org. They have this thing called the Wayback Machine, and you can go to any website at any period. So this is a screenshot from 2000. Is this what you were looking at?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
That's pretty wild.
So I'll jump in with mine. I was 17, and I was I still am like a film obsessive nerd.
Oh, I thought you were 17.
Saying you're still 17. How long have you been 17? I'm going to get Twilight with you right now. A while.
You know
which you are, Noel.
I'm not gonna say, but I'm in like on my wall at home is all of my diplomas from all the times I graduated high school.
It's actually it's supposed to be your graduation caps.
Oh, just my caps?
Yeah.
To commemorate about the fucking the
diplomas.
diplomas.
If people would catch on if it was all your diplomas.
They don't catch on that there's 40
apparently not
hats on the wall.
Listen, I didn't write it.
What, did I graduate college that many times?
No.
Anyway.
Just actually maybe. He did go to med school a few times, but then he just goes back to high school. All right, we don't have to keep talking about Twilight. Continue.
We're gonna actually watch Twilight at some point.
And also all the screenshots of all your appearances on To Catch a Predator.
Oh, because he's statutory rapist.
Yeah, because he's old.
Yeah.
Good.
I was an obsessive film nerd, and I was in the process of like picking colleges too. So I found the website. I was on forums and boards about movies coming out, and they were talking about this movie that's transcendental and it's totally different. And is it real? Is it not? I don't remember a time knowing or not knowing if it wasn't real or not, because I was kind of in the know-ish of just like learning about it.
Right.
But I remember during the week that it was coming out, I was in Chicago. No, a week or two before it was coming out, when it was only small theaters. Like you got to see it at the Ritz. Yeah. I saw it at Second City, the Music Box Theater in downtown Chicago. Packed house. It was incredibly effective. It was really, really cool. You felt like you were in on something early.
Yeah.
And then like 2 or 3 nights later, the Sci-Fi Channel, USA and Sci-Fi Channel premiered The Curse of the Blair Witch, was an hour-long documentary, an hour-long fake documentary about the kids that were lost during the making of this movie.
This fake documentary.
And the full history of the witch, and Rustin Parr, the guy that was influenced by the witch to kill 7 kids. And like, they went hard.
Yeah, man.
Like, they went hard and deep, and I thought that was cool.
I thought it did too. Like, but my memory sucks.
Yeah.
The national release of the movie was July 30th. I ended up seeing it.
Oh, you
like,
saw it right,
end
right,
of
sorry.
June. So like there was like a small rollout.
Gotcha.
And it got really popular.
Gotcha. Because the end of the Curse of the Blair Witch is like the movie is going to be released like within the coming days.
Yeah, because
I
was in Chicago. I spent every summer in Chicago, and it was always about like going to the movies every single week. I convinced my dad to take me to downtown to see this movie he didn't give a shit about weeks earlier. And then by the time like we were going to see like the next action movie 3 or 4 months later, or 2 or 3 months later, it was like just as popular in the auditorium next to it. Because I remember like the rollout of this movie was only supposed to be small, and it got more and more popular over time, and to the point where it was actually selling out full auditoriums in like multiplexes.
Yeah, the people who made this, the directors were like, maybe we'll get a VHS out of it. Like they didn't expect any of this.
Yeah, Eduardo Sanchez and David Myrick, which also, fortunately, decided a lot of shit in my life because I was picking colleges and they came from the University of Central Florida in Orlando. There were like 2 solid film programs in Florida that anyone even knew about. And it was like UF and Seminole or something like that. Yeah. Either Gainesville or again the Panhandle. And I wasn't rich enough to get into either one of those, but there was this small one that nobody was really talking about. And it was still it was so small that you could still play with the equipment and didn't have problems. And that was UCF. And these guys came from UCF, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" By the time I finally got in, it was like the biggest program because of this fucking movie.
Of it.
Oh my gosh!
But it was cool.
That's really cool.
I loved all this stuff. Like I was knee deep in it. I thought it was great.
Nice.
Yeah, I rewatched the Curse of the Blair Witch last week. They have it.
So good.
It's streaming for free. You can watch it. And, I was like, and some of it is really authentic.
Yeah.
And some of it is awful. Like some of the illustrations that are supposed to look old, I'm like, that was drawn very recently.
Yeah.
But then they also have an interview with like this 70s mystic hippie guy, and that looks really authentic.
The Witch in the 1971 like TV show. Yeah, with all the topography was awesome.
Oh,
like
so cool.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with how they rolled that out. Your experience with the Blair.
I was 6 when this came out. So I didn't see it in theaters.
So you saw it in theaters?
But yeah, I went by myself, took myself to the small theater.
You were that family where I'm like, who fucking brings a baby? Shut up, the baby.
I'm the baby in the back yelling, "This isn't real!"
This sucks!
Josh, what the fucking nerd.
Just answer her, Josh.
Yeah. Why you in the corner, bitch?
I actually can't remember
Sorry.
That's okay. I can't remember the first time I saw this. I want to say I was probably in high school and I was having like a scary movie night with my friends over the summer. And like, I know.
I love that.
My friend Kristen and I would have scary movie nights in the summer all the time because her grandparents lived next door to me, and she'd come over, have a sleepover, and we'd watch like whatever scary movie we could get our hands on. So I think it was probably one of those nights, and I knew it was fake. I knew it wasn't real, but I still freaking loved it. I thought it was so cool, and it's kind of what I haven't watched. Now that I'm thinking about it, I've watched a few found footage movies, and the things I've watched I've liked, but I haven't watched some of the more popular ones like Poughkeepsie Tapes.
I've seen it.
I haven't seen that one. VHS, I haven't seen.
Like, Poughkeepsie Tapes is more like a true crime documentary. They have like talking head camera interviews types of shit. Yeah.
But like Hell House LLC, I love. But that also has a little bit of the talking head bit in it.
One of my favorite, most recent found footage movies is Creep and Creep 2.
Oh,
Creep
there's
is
a show
so
coming.
good.
Did you see there's a new one coming?
Creep is. There's another one.
Creep Tapes
I
or something.
canceled Shudder. Yeah.
Creep is so good.
Oh,
That's another one I love. Creep is fantastic.
Anyway.
That was my intro into found footage genre of horror.
Pink says she was 16. And Jinja Genghis Khan says, for me and my circle of friends, it was so new / cutting edge. The raw footage, documentary style, unique for its time.
It was.
It really was.
And Kosa says, Josh! And Rob Patey says, Sci-Fi Channel did a documentary that had me fooled.
Yeah,
which is what we're just talking about.
Curse of the Blair Witch. Yeah.
So I loved it.
This time?
Well, originally I loved it, but I think I loved it almost more so for how effectively they rolled it out and it became what it is.
Yeah.
That was almost just as cool as...
A perfect storm of marketing.
Yeah, like the website that had all of the information that was on the documentary, and it was this thing that was this infrastructure that was set up to fool you before the movie even showed up, which was cool as hell.
And you cannot do that today.
No.
None
People
of
are
that
too
would
aware.
work. Yeah.
There's too many channels. Like even there's too many platforms to fool enough people. Like back then it was just dial up and cable television. Period. Yeah. But now it'd be like, how do you flood the zone effectively without just everybody freaking out at you?
Yeah.
So what about now?
I loved it. Like I was able to pull away like nostalgia. Yeah. And I paid a little bit more.
Sorry, did you say
nostalgia?
Nostalgia?
Because I was wiping my mustache. My nostalgia.
My nostalgia.
My nostalgia.
Not yours.
Not your nostalgia.
Not our nostalgia.
Or Dillstalgia. It's Dylan's nostalgia. I don't know if you understood that, Dylan.
I thought it was nostalgia for Dylan.
Oh,
like the old Dylan, not the new Dylan.
I don't feel it. I go, hits hard.
Don't you miss the old Dylan though?
I wait. What time is it? Yes. Because now you're older.
So tell us more about your nostalgia.
Anyway, my nostalgia. I didn't have nostalgia this time, and it was the first time I'd seen it so many times 20 years ago. This is the first time I've watched it in like maybe 2 decades.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
there's not many reasons to revisit this movie. It's effective once or twice, and that's about it.
It's one that I revisit though.
You just put it on the background?
Yeah, sometimes. I like it.
This time watching it, I paid a lot more attention to just like the 3 characters and their choices, and I almost liked it more.
Okay.
Like, first of all, the technicality of it, like, there are little lines about like they've got batteries for days and they're filming in this type of camera for this type of stuff, but every time that it's actually supposed to be the footage for the movie that they're actually filming, it's different types of footage, and they go back and forth, like they cut back and forth in this movie in like the most effective way. Because you get in real time, and I didn't really recognize it at the time, in real time you get intention as well as reality in the same scenes juxtaposed against each other. Like when they're interviewing other people, you get the DV version of them just with a camcorder talking to a random stranger talking about like, hey, are you prepared to talk about this? And you get like their perspective. And then you also in the same scene get the 16mm version of them presenting for a camera. And it creates this faux reality that was so fucking effective. And that is something that I did not appreciate as a 17-year-old. It also, I was more keenly aware of I understand what desperation now is as an older person, as opposed to as a 17-year-old.
Good point.
The desperation that they just like drip off of them for the second half of this movie was wildly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
This is not a movie about scares. This is not a movie about shocks or twists. It's just really fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And by the time they get to the finale, I didn't feel an inch of hope. Not that I didn't know there was going to be hope. I genuinely did not feel any hope. Like there's no, because it was just so desperate. And if anything, I think they just wanted it to end.
Yeah.
And that hit me a lot. That hit me a lot harder at 42 than it did at 17.
The like impending sense of dread and like losing hope in a horror movie, like when like the main character like knows like they're done for. That's when it's like the gut punch for me.
There's a scene where when I was 17 to 20, I did not understand and could not forgive Mike for throwing the map away. At 42, yeah, I kind of fucking get it.
Yeah.
Like feeling so lost, so desperate, so fucking, I'm going to die here.
And also not trusting the person who's reading the map anyway.
Yeah, the seeds of dissent were much more like clear this time. Yeah. Like it was just a much more effective movie. And honestly, I watch other found footage movies and there's just not that sense of reality at all. It's more like, okay, what's going to be cool in the corner? It's not, I'm spending time with these people as they slowly unravel, which was its own creepy. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And I was still pretty mad at Mike. This time I was like, you mother...
At that point, now, like, and then
not like the map was helping them.
Josh breaking apart. Like, find me underneath this tree, or he needs a minute to like fucking freak out because he was done first. Yeah.
As someone who hikes a lot, this movie is horrifying. It's so scary. There was one hike Kos and I went on where it was one of the, so we're hiking the Adirondacks and we're trying to get all 46 of the Adirondack mountains. And so there's this shorter mountain that we were on, but the trail isn't marked. And so you have to like go based off of like, we have the maps downloaded on our phones and have special apps and tracking devices. But there was one point where we were walking for a while and we realized we like weren't on the trail. And I didn't say it out loud to Costa, but I'm like, this is how the Blair Witch starts. Like, this is
in later movies too. Like you get past a certain point and you're stuck in the woods.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Like,
and I was like, okay, don't freak out. We're not in the Blair Witch. It's fine. The light is still out. We're good. This is a small mountain. We're going to be fine. But it was like, at that moment, I was like, oh my God, we totally thought we were on the right trail and we're not. And now I'm scared.
I'll be honest. So they're in the woods and they have a map. I'm not sure I'd be able to find myself on the map if I'm just in the woods.
With a compass and you know your starting point.
Yeah, I guess.
It's way.
And also the whole time they were following a river, right?
Yeah.
And going south. Right.
And then they tried west. How do you feel about north?
How do you feel the rewatch?
Oh, I still love it. I still love it. I think this is one of the ones I revisit like every October, like when we're cracking out like the classics. I'm like, let's watch some Blair Witch. Cool. But I'd never watched sequels until now. I'd only ever watched the OG.
Oh, Carl's.
Well, hold on. Genghis Khan says, Deadstream on Shudder entertained me, worth a couple watches. Deadstream is really fun. He is so annoying, the main character, that it's actually kind of charming. He feels like a real annoying dude. And I actually quite like Deadstream a lot on Shudder. Check it out. Everyone else. Go ahead, Carl's.
Hey, Alice, is Hell House LLC any good or worth it? Because Umbrella Entertainment, Australia boutique release company, which is dope, has just released a box set of all of it, and I wondered if I should grab it. I believe the first and fourth are good, but the second and third are...
I second his question because I've never watched any of them.
I cannot vouch for the second and third, but I have watched the first one. I've watched it a couple of times. It's one that I've revisited too. I really do enjoy the first one, and the fourth one was pretty good too. It was like a prequel, sequel type kind of deal.
Is there only 4?
Mm-hmm. There are 4.
I think there's 4.
Yeah, it's like 1, 2, 3, and Origin.
Yes.
Origins.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've heard iffy things about the second and third one. And I watched the fourth one thinking it was fully a prequel, and it's not quite, but you can still kind of... I still enjoyed it. I say yes.
Carl,
that's my personal opinion.
It's Umbrella Entertainment. Does that mean it's like a solid ass rigid case and shit? Just buy it. They did my Super Mario Brothers set.
Okay. That's a good set.
Excellent.
It's a good set.
Excellent.
As for me, thank you for asking, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Dylan, what'd you think?
Yeah, Dylan.
No, I remember watching this when I was younger, and it was definitely the first found footage film that I've watched, and I don't know, it's not something I ever really went back to.
Yeah.
But I liked it because of what it was in like film history.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it could have been more effective as like a short film, honestly.
Oh, you know what? Valid. Short film.
Dylan, were you the other kid in the theater going, this sucks?
Yeah. I was like, unnecessary scene. Cut this. Cut 20 minutes.
Keep it steady, you dumb bitch.
I loved it. I was not expecting to enjoy it. Really? I've seen it more than twice. Right? Yeah, the thrill is gone. That's a song, right? I was like, oh, I'll watch it again, but I know what's going to happen. And it's a bunch of these 3 kids who are kind of annoying, just get lost in the woods for the whole time. And I was in on it. I was just like super digging it. I found myself just being like, oh yeah. Oh, he kicked the map. Oh, geez. Like it just felt like not quite as fresh as the first time, but I was really surprised at how fresh and how I was able to like dip into the reality of that film.
Oh yeah.
Once again. And scenes were super effective still.
Yeah.
Like the kicking of the map. And everyone joshes about tell me where you are, Josh, that whole thing. But like, I get it. The desperation in both of their voices.
Heather Donahue, I'm sorry, Ray Hance, her performance with just a flashlight is fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she crushes it.
The entire scene of her basically using, like, if anybody finds this footage, I want to apologize to all their mothers.
Oh my God.
Like, what the shit?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's been memed to high heaven for the last 25 years, so it kind of loses its luster a little bit. Yeah. But
scary movie, freaking. Yeah, but it's such an emotional scene.
So Brother Fluff Salisbury, which is a great name.
A good name.
Incredible.
We watched the OG Blair Witch Project in the theater. My friend put acid in my drink, and I haven't watched it since that night. It probably won't hold up to
an acid trip version of it.
Dude.
Holy shit. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Let's just backtrack this. My friends put acid in my drink. My question is, are you still friends with those people? Was that like we did it for a goof and now you're insane? Like, how did that go? I'm curious.
Now you're insane.
Is Dylan okay? Ask Costa. Yes.
Aw. I'm fine too. Thanks, Costa.
Anything?
Love you. I'm kidding.
Anything else we want to say about the Blair Witch before we move on to the Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows? I'm sorry. Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2.
Yeah.
A Blair Witch saga.
I think it 86% Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's totally fair.
Yeah.
I think this movie, despite being, I think it gets more credit than just being first. Like, it was the first in, modern cinema to do something like this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's even better than that. Like, a lot of nostalgia blinders would be just like, oh, it was first, so we're going to respect it. Even with that removed, I actually still think this is a really, really strong flick. and I appreciated it more. Yeah.
Sorry, Sushan just texted me. Whatever just happened was very strange. You and Alice were frozen in shocked expressions. Then the stream ended abruptly.
The
Blair Witch. Blair Witch. Blair Witch. You say her name 3 times and she appears, and it's me.
And it's me.
Hello.
So I'm trying to remember. I was listening to an interview with these cats, Eduardo and David, on another podcast because of the anniversary, 25th anniversary. And I'm trying to remember if any of the tidbits were interesting. Besides the fact that they didn't expect it to do anything.
Yeah.
It was just a lark. So one of the things I forgot about is at the end, you are following Mike, who's the boom guy, right? He's the sound guy. So you're following Josh as he's running down the steps. Heather's still upstairs. But when the thing happens to him down in the basement, you are still hearing Heather from upstairs through the boom mic in the basement, and you hear her getting closer and closer as she's coming down.
It's
so effective.
Which the third movie plays with a lot of shit like that too, where you're seeing cross-cutting between different cameras and sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But kind of the interesting thing about that, beyond that little interesting tidbit, is that they did that whole thing and then it did not record properly, so they had to redo that ending, which sucks. But it's just as effective as if I think the first time. Like it feels like the first time of a take. It doesn't feel like something that they went back and like tried to recreate. You know, I think it's very effective. Brothers Salisbury, we're still friends, but it started a huge prank war between us.
Don't send details.
I ran over your dog.
Yeah, it's like
what's next after?
Well, how do you escalate from drugging someone?
At a movie.
Anyway,
sorry, God. I'm glad you're okay.
We've only got so much time. We should move on to Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, which came out October 27th, 2000. 14% Rotten Tomato score. So, it's an underdog. Written by
I think that's
Dick Beebe.
too high.
Dick Beebe.
And Joe Berlinger, directed by Joe Berlinger, who was famous for documentaries before this.
It's pretty funny.
Starring Jeffrey Donovan, Erica Learson, and Kim Director. A group of tourists arrive in Burkittsville, Maryland, after seeing the Blair Witch Project to explore the mythology and phenomenon, only to come face to face with their own neuroses and possibly the witch herself.
It's me.
That sounds so cool. What a fun idea.
I think
from.
Go on.
Oh, from my understanding, this movie takes place not in the Blair Witch world, right, where the thing actually happened, but in our world where the Blair Witch movie came out and was
in the world. Was it real?
Was it not?
The Blair Witch movie is a fake movie.
Yeah, and so everyone, the phenomenon happens, and everyone floods to Burkittsville.
Yeah,
and there's
well, so. Yes and no. This is so overly convoluted.
Yeah.
In the world of this movie, the stories about the Blair Witch and Rustin Parr and Burkittsville are real. But these guys made a fake movie about it called The Blair Witch. And because that was so popular, all of the inhabitants of Burkittsville are either pissed about it because you have all these tourists all the time, and or pop-up capitalist like selling sticks, rocks.
I sold rocks out of my garden.
Yeah. That I was cracking up when she's like, they wanted some rocks, so I went out in my rock garden. I didn't want to sell them, but then they gave me $10 and I sold them. But then
we don't really sell that many. We sell them in person, but we don't really sell them online because shipping a rock is really expensive.
It's so funny.
What a nice little touch.
Yeah,
that's just it. Like there's
the beginning of the movie is fun.
The world of this movie, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. The idea.
This movie is so aggressively bad.
It was the longest 87 minutes.
It is garbage, not trash. It is wet.
It's garbage.
Stinky garbage.
I can make
with litter in it.
I can debate certain pieces of the movie that I think are like really cool.
Oh yeah.
But as a whole, it is such a bad movie.
Yeah.
Like in the first 10 minutes. It is aggressively bad. Like it starts with a really, really great old school MTV News thing with Kurt Loder and some real news footage of people reacting to the phenomenon the previous year of the movie. And then it goes into like a really, really bad music video style footage of
Jeffrey Donovan,
handsome actor in a loony bin, with sped up footage of his head shaking and like
him running
against the
padded
walls and stuff.
Yeah.
it's so early aughts, late 90s.
Foaming at the mouth.
Foaming. Yeah.
I remember this soundtrack was really popular too.
Doctor smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, I do like that though. Dude's got a cigarette with like ash that long, and he's like pouring stuff into this gullet for some reason.
Into his nose,
Yeah. Some ecto cooler.
I think Costa said he's like, oh my God, that can't be real. He's pushing such a long tube in his nose, and you're like, also the doctor's smoking a cigarette
He
while
says
he does
he's
it.
not wearing gloves, and I'm like, yeah,
No,
and he's
that's what he
smoking a
wants.
cigarette. Terrible doctor. Yeah, so I had seen this in the theaters at the time, and I don't remember it being this bad. I had sort of a pleasant memory of it, like a nostalgia maybe. I remember Erica Learson was in it, and I was like, oh, who's that? Rare. She winds up being in the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is super underrated as a remake. Love that movie.
It's the second best Texas Chainsaw movie. No, 2 is pretty fun.
I hate 2 so much.
It's pretty fun.
I hate 2. So yeah, going back and watching it,
No
it
PPE.
is almost immediately terrible. Like as soon as that scene happens, I went, oh no.
When people talk about like, oh, it feels so 90s, early 2000s, you should show them this to make sure that you're on the same page.
Yeah.
The first 10 minutes of this movie to be like, do you mean this? No, you mean worse than, or you don't mean something this bad. You mean like just
something
Creed.
Yeah.
Creed.
Actually,
Yes.
this movie should have been soundtracked by Creed. Like all of those.
Can you take-
But instead, it was like a smash cut. Actually, pretty decent Marilyn Manson songs.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Don't like Marilyn Manson.
So what did
Oh, no,
did
not
you
at
see
all.
that?
He's a rapist.
Wait, this
Yeah.
is 2000. So okay, only a year after.
Yeah, less than a year after.
So you were 5?
It's because
And
time.
me? No,
'cause time goes
because
back.
I was going back. No, I was 7.
Oh, 7. So I don't understand numbers.
Timey-wimey bullshit.
So when did you first see Blair Witch? I'm sorry. Book of Shadows, Blair Witch
When
Trilogy.
It's the Book of Shadows.
What the hell is
Wait
that?
a minute. It's not in the movie
It's
at all.
not mentioned.
There is no book
That was my
with
question.
shadows in it or about shadows.
There's no books. It's
the
all
Blair
film.
Witch or any Blair Witch adjacent
No one has a book.
entity
That
has.
never occurred to me.
What is the fucking Book of Shadows? Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah.
You were 8, 12?
No.
You were 5.
No.
What's numbers?
When did you come over to watch it? Sunday?
Last week.
No, it was Sunday night, right?
Sure.
Sunday night. It was
Yeah.
the first time I
It was
watched
the first time you saw it.
You successfully avoided this for
I did, because I had heard
24 years.
I had heard the sequel was bad, and I really love the original. So I was
Yeah,
like,
no
I'm
bother.
just gonna enjoy this
Yeah,
when I
this little
can
nugget.
and forget the other one exists.
And what did you think
It
of
was
Book of Shadows?
so bad. It was fun to watch with you and Costa, but it's so.
The real book is the friends we made along the way.
I knew it.
Yeah.
And you're so right, Costa.
Robert Monroe is in the chat saying, when Blair Witch 1 came out, my friends took their son who was home for winter break. He was studying, so the movie wasn't spoiled for him. So he thought it was real and was freaked out.
That's perfect.
I told
That's
the story on a previous episode of the official Cult Pop live stream. And I had mentioned that I'd gone with my someone I was dating at the time. And we got to my bedroom at my parents' house, and we were sleeping over. And I was like, while she's in the bathroom, I'm going to draw a stick man with charcoal on the door. And she was like, oh, whatever, and went to sleep. And then I woke up in the middle of the night, terrified by the stick drawing I made on the door.
Incredible.
I was so spooked
Absolutely
out.
incredible. You played yourself.
Yeah.
I love that.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
What about this movie was good?
Oh, okay.
The goth chick.
She
Kim.
was so bad.
I loved her.
I was certain she never worked again. She's done plenty since
Tons
this.
of stuff.
I-
that she's
Kim
actually
director.
Loved
energized.
her. I just thought the movie was cool. You know?
I just-
Same.
It's a quote from the movie.
The movie was cool.
I liked.
That was more emotion, actually. That was a better delivery of that
I
line than
thought
Kim
the movie
directed.
was cool.
Mhm. I have to have a cigarette and a beer.
I like that they answered the one question I had about the first movie, is where they found the footage.
Yeah.
So that was answered.
You know what? What I liked about this movie, and obviously we're going to spoil a movie that's 24 years old. I really liked how it played with perception.
Very.
I liked how you were along the ride. You were on the ride along with these characters, experiencing their experience the way they experienced it. And you find out at the end That is not at all what happened. Do we think...
Imagine how cool this would be with a good director.
Right?
Yeah, this could have been good.
Side note. So the director, Joe Berlinger, had directed this. He had done the film. They went back, the studio went back and add like all of those scenes at the police station completely made up after the fact.
I don't hate that.
He had a whole intention for this movie that was undercut because the studio went back and fucked with it. So, but it did give us that sheriff who is amazing.
I was just gonna say I do like. The sheriff.
Love that sheriff.
God damn it!
It's two things. One, Joe Berlinger, he plays the doctor that's smoking.
Oh,
also
amazing.
Yeah, the sheriff was fantastic, but I don't actually dislike the interrogation scenes because the way that they're dulled out, you get a reveal of who survives slowly throughout the movie because they don't introduce any of the other characters until like kind of later on.
Yeah.
So all you know is Jeffrey Donovan survives. And then it's not until like 40 minutes in that you know the blonde guy survives and he's crying about the girl and it's like, oh shit, she must die. Or the other one. But then you find out. So like it is used pretty well in the structure of this movie. It's just not tight. It's pretty boring. The way that all of the reveals are like stacked on top of each other at the end of the movie is just so ineffective. It's like cool. It's a cool ass idea because you witnessed it in the context of the movie. And then we get to see the footage that they were filming the whole time, which is in line with the Blair Witch idea. But that was just so poorly
executed,
jumbled on top of everything at the end, like a fucking sprinkled sundae. It's
I
just
feel like
terrible.
I think my biggest problem with the editing of this movie and what they added in afterwards are all these like quick cuts of severe violence happening, like pretty badly done. First of all, like it's not shot well.
Yeah.
The effects are pretty bad. But you get these like little MTV flashes of like someone getting jammed in the stomach and the knife is twisting and everything. So you're kind of certain that a big violence has happened. Whereas I think the intention from the director was to, is everything in their head? Is because the movie is about mass hysteria, mass hallucination, and how things can infect sort of the broader mindscape of the world, right? And people can all see the same sort of thing and come together and have the same sort of hallucination and psychosis. You lose that effect while you're showing real stabbings really happens, you know, that sort of thing.
So
I think it takes away from
that the studio asked for those inserts, I'd say fuck that.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the interrogation stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like the interrogation stuff is just a narrative structure that the other scenes kind of fit into, because we know from jump we're messing around with time because we start with interviews from a year ago and then this back over here. So like the interrogation scenes I don't have a problem with. Yes. This stupid MTV quick cut bullshit in between scene transitions is absolutely awful and it looks like shit.
Yeah.
The other thing that while I think mass hysteria, if those are his words or not, or your interpretation, is a subtext, the movie has a straight context, which is Witch asks to be embodied by Ellie, but Ellie embodies the blonde who infects the rest of them.
Right.
And that is a cool story in and of itself that is just like slapped on at the very end. Even though they're building towards it, it's literally just like slapped on at the end. So like any kind of malicious nature that builds is just boring.
Actually, this brings me to a question.
Yeah.
I meant to ask it earlier. At the end, we find out that the reality we, the viewers, have experienced with the characters is incongruous with the footage that they're later shown.
Yeah.
Do we think
that they recorded too?
Yeah, right. They were recording it. Do we think that the events happened the way we saw it and the footage was mystified, or do we think the thing we were experiencing was a glamour and what was caught on camera was real?
The latter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just check it.
Camera, like in the context of this movie, these movies, this world, the camera doesn't lie. It's the people that do.
Okay. Yeah.
So when we're shown the footage in the context of the movie, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Armoon's in the chat saying, did you mention the viral campaign for the first film, YouTube is Wonky? Yes, Armoon, we did.
Yeah.
We did. And Noel and I were I think swept up in it. I think me so more than him because he was like a film dude at the time, where I was just like a kid.
I was on stupid message boards and stuff.
And to me, I was like, this could 100% be real. But also, it seems weird that they're allowed to make this movie. If these kids are really missing, it seems kind of exploitative.
So we need to jump into 2016's
Blair Witch.
Yeah,
go ahead. It
doesn't want me to. There we go.
So Blair Witch, just titled Blair Witch, came out September 16th, 2016. I'm sorry, go back. What was the RT for the Blair
14.
Witch Project? Blair Witch Project.
Oh,
86.
14. I'll get you this one.
No. The first one?
86. Yeah, I'll get you this one.
They're both 86.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize this was a typo. This is written by Simon Garrett, directed by Adam Wingard.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally forgot that.
Yeah.
Starring James Allen McCune, Valerie Curry, Corbin Reed, and Wes Robinson. After discovering a video showing what he believes to be his vanished sister, Heather, James and a group of friends head to the forest believed to be inhabited by the Blair Witch. Oh, this is a 38. Okay, that makes sense.
It's almost 3 times as better as the
second one. Yes.
Yeah.
I went and saw this in the. So speaking of marketing, if I recall this correctly, the movie that was coming out was called The Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there was no trailers or anything. It was just a new Adam Wingard movie called The Woods, and they did say that it was a found footage horror movie.
Yeah.
July of 2016, there was a secret screening at Comic-Con, at San Diego Comic-Con.
Ah, that's what it was.
And people that were invited or had tickets for it were going in to see The Woods, and there was at our local movie theater, there was a poster for The Woods, directed by Adam Wingard.
Mm-hmm.
They went into the theater. In real time, they found out they were watching a secret Blair Witch sequel, and then by the time they got out of the theater, the new posters were up.
So cool.
And the creative team was there to woohoo, gotcha.
I wonder if you can get one of those The Woods posters.
Probably.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, probably.
I imagine they're pretty expensive.
But I remember, I also remember, because, we live in a town with a movie theater that doesn't really care about keeping things up to date. After we knew it was the Blair Witch movie, they still had The Woods posters up.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
All right. So I went and saw it in the theater. I was kind of looking forward to it. Because again, in my head, Blair Witch, Book of Shadows : Blair Witch 2 was actually pretty good. It had Erica Learson. How could it be bad?
Yeah.
And so I went to go see this. And again, pleasantly surprised. I actually quite enjoyed this in the theater. I thought that the idea of the going to, a la the Friday the 13th remake that you love, you have a sibling going to find a missing sibling.
Terrible fucking movie.
Yeah. So I actually quite liked it. I liked how they incorporated newer technology.
Triggered.
Like drones and what have you.
Yeah, drones.
I loved that aspect of it. Yeah.
Personal cameers, the ear cameras.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. Good idea.
They had motion stuff. He had
actual GPS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked out of the movie kind of just pleasantly surprised, like, oh, this is pretty good. And I liked sort of the twisty nature of the ending.
Mm-hmm.
This time, I was a little disappointed because there was a lot about this. So I had misremembered the end of this movie, thinking that it was kind of akin to Final Destination 5.
Yeah.
Where at the end, spoiler alert for Final Destination 5, I believe that's the one where at the end you go through this whole rigmarole with these characters.
It's called The Final Destination.
I'm sorry, The Final Destination.
Excuse me, it's called The Final Destination.
And so you go through this whole rigmarole of them defeating death and getting picked off one by one, and then you had survivors at the end. And then the survivors at the end are on a plane getting ready to go somewhere, and you see Devon Sawa from the first movie and all those other kids being escorted off of the plane.
Surprise!
Because that's
it's prequel.
It's a surprise prequel.
And there's subtle hints throughout the movie that it's like.
Is there?
Sorry.
I have to go back.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
We'll talk about it later.
So anyway, I thought it was like that. I thought it was like that. And I thought for some reason at the end of Blair Witch that they actually got so wimey fucked up that they wound up back when Heather and her crew were there.
I remember. Yeah.
And I was wrong. That is
You
not
are
what happens
so
in this
wrong.
movie at all. So I was a little disappointed by that. What did you think?
You were disappointed by your own misremembered expectations.
Like, damn, the movie I remembered was better than this.
Thumbs down. I wasn't right.
Yeah.
What did you think, Alice?
First time I saw this was Monday.
I'm sorry.
You're the worst. I love it.
The first time you saw it was Monday?
Yeah, and I liked it.
You liked it?
Yeah, I had a good time with it. Not as much as the original. I don't think it was needed, but I thought it was an interesting concept to have the brother try and go back. And I liked the added like new tech that we have now.
Yeah.
And one thing I didn't like about it is the thing that I like so much about the original Blair Witch Project is you don't see the witch. Like
we see
that was
bitch.
a big conversation when this movie came out.
And that's part of the.
You don't see her, but you definitely see her.
Yeah.
Like you see her in the distance.
It's
quick
like
cut
Slender
shit.
Man almost.
Yeah.
Like, what did I
Like
just
was
say?
that what that was? Yeah.
She reminds me of how they did the old lady in the
Chapter 2. With the
chapter 2. Yep.
coming running
The
at you
long-
like
the
that.
young lady.
It's your jam.
Yeah.
It was me. See, I am the Blair Witch. This is my Blair Witch pose.
I liked it when it came out. I thought it was pretty clever. I remembered the ending and I thought it was pretty clever. Because I also thought like, oh, they're watching a recreation of the end of the first movie because I had just watched the first movie. So like that run up the stairs is actually a pretty accurate recreation of him with the camera running up or her with the camera running up. So I was like, oh, cool. That for posterity, they recreated this. That's really nifty. And then you find out the whole reveal at the end. So I remembered it fondly. This time I still enjoyed it, but it is so modern. It is like the authenticity of the first movie. They didn't even bother trying to recapture.
Yeah.
This is just a very slick found footage movie using an IP. Is it cool for what it is? Yes. Does it capture anything that was effective about the first movie? No. No. This is like a slasher version of Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
We were talking about some of the kills. Well, yeah, kills. I don't know why I'm air quoting the kills.
Some of
they
the
were
murders.
kills. One of the most gnarly scenes in horror movie history, if I may, is when, they're surrounded by all of the stick figures and they blame the one girl because it's got her hair tied up. Like, oh, you just made this. And then she breaks the stick figure and the woman breaks in half backwards.
Which they
immediately.
ruin in the trailer.
I noticed that.
Really?
I saw the trailer after watching this and I was like, oh, it's right there. They showed us the whole
that's
time.
Firecracker from The Boys.
Who's Firecracker?
The
Napped lady.
Ben Shapiro style lady in the new season.
I haven't seen the new season.
The redhead.
Cool.
I haven't watched The Boys. Sorry.
I'm going to catch up on
really
The Boys.
good.
I love that
Yeah,
show.
the fifth season's really good.
Some of the kills, it's definitely like more, like you say, a slick.
It's a
kind of
slasher
remake.
version of, which in and of itself, fun.
Mhm.
I think that's kind of fun, but it's not the same thing as the original movie. Like it's not, they're not even trying to do the same thing.
To be fair, one of the things I respected at the time about Book of Shadows : Blair Witch 2 was that they did a completely different thing and they were like, we're not even going to try to recreate the thing that just came out last year because it's impossible. And I think same goes for this one. I'm glad they didn't try to like, oh, is this real or not? Or any of some of those effects that they put in or I can't think of the word, but I'm glad they didn't try to recreate what was just do a new thing.
There was something contextually a lot more fun about like there's these people that don't know they're in a horror movie. This one I think it doesn't have that vibe. It's like they all know they're in a horror movie.
Right.
And that's because of they all experienced the phenomenon of the first one.
Yeah.
So like maybe they do know. But it's just it's a really slick Adam Wingard movie.
Yeah.
The dude that went on to do Godzilla versus Kong. Like he's not a small director.
Yeah.
He's not like a subtle dude.
Yeah.
Right.
But if just taken on as a
Found footage.
cool, timey-wimey found footage slasher movie, some really solid shit in this movie.
Yeah.
Like really solid shit.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked the timey-wimey stuff towards the end with the the snippet that they see in the beginning
of the movie
is actually, and they think it's Heather. It's actually her running through the house.
So that's the timey-wimey stuff that I misremembered, thinking that it was like, oh, right, it tied into the first movie in a cool way. No, it just tied into the beginning of this movie in a cool way.
I also like to think that they took that, so it like a good sequel should do, it recontextualizes some stuff from the first movie. Like they're not lost because the witch is confusing them. They're in a time loop probably.
Yeah.
Which is really cool and fun. So like maybe the world didn't know they were missing for as long as they felt like they were. Because in this one, you actually get that in real time because instead of it being one source of truth, there's multiple sources of truth because everyone has their own camera on them as well as a drone. So it gave them the opportunity to show, oh shit, this person is experiencing something completely different in the same parallel way that this person's experiencing it, which was really cool. It's a slick ass movie and I really liked it, but it's not as eerie or unsettling at all.
No. Yeah, I agree. I thought that was just because like, I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this again.
Also,
but, like, now with higher tech.
At the end of this movie, the two of them are in the attic of the house and they just decide willy-nilly, if we don't look at her, she can't hurt us.
Oh, I mean, it's not that's like he does it is a plot contrivance, but it's not like out of nowhere. He's been obsessed with this for 25 years because his sister went missing. So it was if you stand in the corner and don't look at her, he literally says she's choosing a sacrifice. The other one is supposed to stand in the corner and wait their turn while she does someone else. Yeah. So his logic was stand in the corner, don't look at her. Yeah. She's choosing someone else. Let her choose someone else. And he hears his sister's voice and turns around like a fucking idiot.
Yeah. And then she hears his voice and turns around like a fucking idiot.
I thought it was...
She kind of... Sorry.
I thought they didn't look because in the beginning, the other guy, Lane, told them that he's like, everybody who looks at her just dies.
And you die from looking at her.
Yeah.
And that's also her... Like, I thought that was a really cool thing that she tried to do with like showing her the viewfinder.
Awesome.
Which would have been cool if she didn't do dumb girl thing and was like, what?
I know. Yeah. I was like, oh, maybe she's going to. Oh.
It's like we needed the movie to end at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have loved also to just her getting out of the house and then we just spent like, let her be a sad ending, lost in the woods, but like having her die immediately after that was like, fucking A. Yeah. I also liked the subtext of them being friends that didn't go for it because there are so many scenes where there's like tension. There's a lot of cool stuff in this movie.
Where do I know her from?
I don't know.
She looks so familiar. Maybe it's from this movie. But I would say if we had to rank ratings.
Alien Covenant, The Endless, which is another incredibly good timey-wimey movie.
You would love The
Endless. So good. Shotgun Wedding, Under the Silver Lake. She works just in small roles and a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
If we had to rate them, I would go obviously the Blair Witch Project, and then Blair Witch, and then
Under the Table. Actually, we're on the 4th floor of this building. Yeah. Probably at the foundation.
Book of Shadows, the Blair Witch 2. Yeah. Christopher Goodnight's in the chat saying, the only found footage movie I support is Cloverfield. That was a fun romp. I like that movie. And I was trying to think of another, I think my favorite besides this one of a found footage movie. Oh man, it's gone. I had it right a second ago and it's gone. Ronnie says, hey folks, thanks for a cool show. I worked at Hollywood Video when it first came out on VHS. Yeah. I'm a Highlander old. People coming back after renting it and asking, what? Explain the ending. Really? It's so well choreographed. It's shockingly well choreographed. Also, show them your shirt.
Oh yeah, heck yes, VHS.
Heck yes, VHS.
That's our thoughts about the Blair Witch Project.
The Blair Witch
guys. Everyone, if you're seeing this afterwards or in the chat, give us your ranking of the Blair Witch movies, and honestly too, if you've never seen them, revisit them. They're really fun movies. Also,
let us know your favorite found footage movie, because like Ronnie says here, it was the birth of a movie genre. So it occurred to me while watching the original
Paranormal Activity is what
Blair
you're thinking
Witch.
About.
What?
Paranormal Activity is what you're thinking about.
No, it wasn't.
Before. Oh no.
Within 4 years, there were 2 horror genre redefining phenomenon. Scream in 96 and then Blair Witch at 99. I just think that's kind of neat. Like they both spawned so many copies.
I mean, I think didn't the second Scream come out like almost less than a year later, and then the third one came out probably around the same time as
That's true. It was probably out before Blair Witch 1 came out.
All 3 of them were together.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have to run.
All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com. And next week we're going to talk about
Sleepy Hollow, which also is the 25th anniversary of that movie
By Tim
in
Burton.
a month, and a special surprise that I cooked up for Alice and JD. So
We
you
have
got to
no
tune
idea.
in. You got to tune in to find out what that is.
I'm scared.
He's going to take our heads.
And your
Or
butts.
give us heads.
You
I'm
can
not
go
sure.
first. I'll stand in the
Yeah.
corner.
Get over there. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll talk at you later.
Doo-doo.
Mwah. Skidly-dee-doo.